Ryan Didone was a typical fun-loving teenager. He liked sports and riding his dirt bike. But all that changed in a matter of minutes in the fall of 2008. Ryan and 4 of his friends were riding in a car when the driver lost control and hit a tree. The impact was so severe it caused major injuries to all the car's occupants. Ryan was flown to a nearby hospital where he died a short time later. He was only 15 years old. Captain Thomas Didone has been with the Montgomery County, Maryland Police Department for almost 25 years. He was Ryan's father.
I was with my son the day he was born, and I unfortunately had to be with my son in the hospital when the day he died. And that's something I would never wish on any parent.
Captain Didone says the crash was a direct result of distracted driving.
It was an inexperienced, immature driver who felt that he was invincible driving at night with a carload of kids. He was distracted, he was going too fast, and they ended up causing one death and some serious trauma and tragedy for the rest of the community.
Ryan's story is all too familiar. More than 4,000 teenagers lose their lives in car accidents in the United States every year. Ray LaHood is Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation. He says distracted driving has become an epidemic.
And I've called it an epidemic in America because just about every American, including many teens, owns cell phones. And they think they can talk and drive and do it safely, and they can't.
To counteract this disturbing trend, government agencies and private companies are using public service announcements and safety events to raise awareness. At this recent driving event near Washington, D.C., teenage drivers tested their driving skills on a closely monitored obstacle course to compare how they drove with and without distraction.
Ready? All right, go.
19-year-old Kevin Schumann was one of the drivers. Here, he's driving without a cell phone. And here, he is texting while driving. The orange cones represent curves in the road. The inflatable dolls represent kids. Schumann says the experience was eye-opening.
When you go over cones, that's like you basically going off the road, so you're just like kind of swerving all over the place, and with the makeshift kids and you're hitting them all the time, that's what really opened up the experience for me to prove how bad it is to really text and drive.
Debbie Pickford, an insurance representative, says there are a number of reasons why teens in particular are at risk.
What we know from research on teen drivers, teen brain development, is that teens really, and kids, people, don't really have fully developed brains till they're 25 years old. Plus, you take the non-brain development combined with inexperience, you put those two things together and you get a much, much higher risk.
But things are starting to change. New legislation that's been introduced in the U.S. Congress would require all states to implement what's called a graduated driver's license program. Under such a program, young drivers are prohibited from nighttime driving, are limited to the number of passengers they can have, and are not able to obtain a full license until they're 18. In the meantime, people like Captain Didone are using their personal experiences to help educate teens about the dangers of distracted driving. He travels the country, sharing his story with the hope that it may save other lives.
I never thought I'd be one of those parents that got that phone call, but I was. So I've recognized the fact that if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone.
Distracted driving, says Didone, is an issue everyone needs to pay attention to. Julie Taboh, VOA News, Washington.